Welcome to SFG Top Performance. We have our regulars here, Jason and Derrick. And Jason's going to start us off talking about some chemical programs.
Yes, it's pre-pay time to get your best value in your chemicals, as everybody knows right now. And a lot of things we learned last year, the year before, and the last several years. So you have to have a good pre and a good post, and things are working well. If you don't have them all, there's going to be some problems, and that's where the problems occur. But if you get a good pre with several modes of action, it doesn't matter which one you use. We have several options. There's a lot of value points and different things but they're all good as long as you get more than one mode of action down. And it doesn't matter what you put on for that pre as long as it's a good one. We have 3 good programs that we have this year that all are going to work very well and all have worked very well. For soybeans and corn, that's the same thing. There's 2 or 3 good ones there as well, and probably more than that if we dig into it. But as long as we're doing a good pre and a good post with multiple modes of action, we're going to have a good clean field, and that's going to save a lot on our weed control. If you keep that field clean, it's on the beans, 5-10 bushel, Derrick? What can we expect on that?
Sure. So we've been comparing a lot of chemical, program pricing together and everything, and the one pass, especially on the corn, comes up the most. And really, we have chemical programs that are, the high end ones are $50 an acre. We can probably hit some 35 to 40 on the ones that we're just doing, like just a metolachlor down with atrazine or something without the big name ones pre. But long story short, we can get to where the chemical prices is about the same between a 1 pass and a 2 pass, and the only extra charge you could say is that one application. And our applications this year are $9 an acre, but there's so much data with especially water hemp on corn that $9 an acre is all we need is 2 bushel for it. And there's so much data that if you have just 2 or 3 plants in a foot by foot square, especially water hemp, that that's 4 to 5 bushel, and that's even when it's small. I mean, that's just if they're there. It's taking water, especially years like last year where water was scarce. It's taking water away, and it's taking yield away. You don't see it because that yield was never there. It's not like the drought, how things were growing really good and then we run out of water, so everything pulls back. But those early weeds are taking yield away, especially in a 1 pass situation. If we're doing a row and go, we're not putting anything out until May, and we're letting the weeds get up 6 or 8 inches tall and then burn them down. Yeah, we can get those controlled, but it's taking so many nutrients out, it's taking so much water out that your crop could have used instead of the weed. So that's really why we always stress a 2 pass program. But on the second pass in beans, Jason, what are kind of our main options that we're going to be going with this year?
Well, there's a lot of the endless soybeans. That E3 is really taken over a good chunk of the market. Dicamba is still around, but there's a lot of people that are pretty nervous about dicamba, and I think there was more issues with the dry weather in dicamba last year than we've seen in the past, causing crop damage to the neighboring fields. So I think there'll be a lot more Liberty on them acres, to be safe. And Liberty worked well. We used it on some fields last year that were dicamba, and it worked really well. And you can wait a couple weeks. You don't have to be timelined. You're not timelined by this date to be done with it. So you have some time with Liberty. So as far as, your beans and corn, as long as you're doing 2 modes of action, I think you're gonna optimize your yields. Another thing that, everywhere we go, we hear tar spot. And, some seed companies claim to have this magic number, that they have this wonder on tar spot, and this is a hybrid. But I don't think that we have enough data out there to prove that is correct 100%. Because in our area, we've seen a little tar spot, but we haven't seen enough to know that this hybrid we sell is really good, or this hybrid we sell is really good. We just haven't seen enough of it to know what it's going to do with the hybrids we're using. One thing that is very effective is fungicide. If you get a good fungicide down ahead of time, because tar spot's kind of unique. It incubates for up to 2 weeks from the time it infects that plant. It takes 2 weeks to show any symptoms. So you can do all the scouting you want, but as soon as you see that lesion, it's already been in that plant for 2 weeks. So we should have been, had that fungicide on. So there's going to be a lot of uncertainty as it comes into our area. I know there's some areas that have had it and they've had some experience, but but we're going to be new to it, so we're going to have to get some more fungicides out, I believe, early and make sure we're protecting that plant.
And that's what we go to a lot of this time of year. A little bit slower. We go to a lot of industry speakers and that sort of thing. We've been up to ISU talks talking about the tar spot, and like you say, the seed companies that go out and claim, "Oh, this hybrid is really good on it," it's only anecdotal evidence because nobody can even take the tar spot disease and incubate it and put it onto a field to do the true test. So usually those are just personal experience one time. Oh, hey, I had this hybrid where my neighbor had tar spot and this one wasn't as bad. So it's pretty anecdotal. So really this year is where the companies are starting to get that information in. So the ones that are out there claiming, yeah, this is the tar spot hybrid, I would just take that with a grain of salt a little bit, because like I'm not even going out and saying, yeah, our this specific decal hybrid's really good on it. I mean, like Jason says, you need to focus on the fungicide piece because we know that it controls it really well. It's just the problem with tar spot is once it starts to multiply, it just goes so quick that it can take over a field really fast. So you just got to make sure you're scouting out there, and it's easy to see. It's it just looks like splattered tar, black spots on the plant. So it's easy to see. We've been seeing it just here and there, but it is everywhere. It's in every county in Iowa, so it's going to be one to keep track of. But
And one more thing with that, fungicides I'm sure aren't going to be any more available this year than they were last year. So as we're in this prepay mode, it's probably a good time to lock in your fungicide and be a little bit prepared for that. So when it comes August or late July and hey, I need this and we can't get it, it's be prepared and lock in a little bit of your fungicide now to make sure you can get it at that point. And Derrick, you've been working on some new and exciting products that they've been around for a little bit, but we haven't used much of them. Can you talk a little bit about some of the seed products that?
Sure. So the one product we're gonna use a little bit more this next year. It's called Seed Plus Graphite. It's a Verdesian product that, like Jason said, it's been around for a couple of years, but we haven't necessarily jumped on it. But what I like about it, we had some good tests with it last year. What I like about it, it is a talc graphite with micros and biostimulant. So it's your talc and graphite replacement. So it's something that everybody's already doing on their planter. And so it's not adding an extra step, it's replacing something you're doing, but also you're getting in micros and biostimulants with it as well. So it's a dry product that you sprinkle in the planter boxes as you fill a planter or the bulk fill, that sort of thing. It's really easy to use if you have a talc applicator on seed tenders. That's actually the best way because it's a little higher use rate than just straight graphite. Some guys use graphite, some guys use talc, some use both, but it's about the same rate as the talc. So if you have those talc applicators, it's really good. You just dump these buckets in and meter it out. Usually those are little electric meters, and it goes right on the seed and replaces that step of the little black graphite bottles and that sort of thing. But it's got a full micro package. So the guys that aren't using the micro sink or aren't using starters with micros and that sort of thing, it's an easy way to get that in the planter and doesn't add a lot of extra steps. It's dry. It spreads over the seed really easily. And also it has biostimulants in it that help regulate abiotic stresses in the plant. So what that is essentially the early season rains, if it's really wet or then dries out really quick, it just helps regulate that water in the plant, get that first initial root growth. A couple years ago, we did a lot of the small little trials where you put the Seed Plus Graphite in the little Petri dishes and then, untreated is 2 or 3 inches and then it has 3 or 4 inches of growth. So it shows really good promise there, and it's not outrageously expensive. It's $2 to $3 an acre for, like I said, a micro pack and biostimulants. If you're just comparing it to talc and graphite, yeah, it's more expensive than talc and graphite, but you're getting a lot better, items in that product. So that's one we're gonna have, and it comes in a 25 pound bucket or 5 pounds. So it's just really easy to use and it's not just an easy add-on product in the seed shed. So that's one that I'll probably be out asking guys on. So don't think I'm just trying to sell you something else, but it's an easy add-on product that gets you some micros and biostimulants and shows some good promise just to help out a little bit. And like I said, it's not outrageously expensive. So that's what we have for a new product this year. Charles, in the application world, are getting the work done. How's everything gone this past couple months?
Well, the last couple months we, of course, had a really good fall. A lot of guys got their anhydrous on. the season never stopped. I think we were pulling gas all the way up till middle of December. So everybody that wanted it on got on. Dry fertilizer wise, we're in real good shape there. We're pretty caught up there. Lime, we had a really good run on lime. Super grows the same way. Everything's in a lot better shape than some falls or winters at this time. We're getting geared up for spring, topping off tanks and sourcing. Like I said, some of that chemistry is easy to get, and some of the fungicides are tough to. The name brand stuffs are going to be tough to get, and don't know why, but that's just how it is nowadays. But anyway, everything's getting filled up. We'll be ready for spring here. Won't be long, and we'll be ready to roll. So everybody make the weather cooperate and get the moisture built back up. We'll have another good year. So, well, I want to thank you for joining us this episode, and we'll catch you again.